International Airport. If you hadn't heard, Green Bay will be hosting the NFL Draft next week. We are incredibly excited about welcoming and wish them to come back. In that effort, we have coordinated with our stakeholders on a number of different levels to make sure that access through Green Bay Airport is as efficient and safe as possible. So today we're going to talk to the Transportation Security Administration about some of the efforts they've taken to make sure that people can get through the screening checkpoint as quickly and efficiently as possible. We are no strangers to busy days and busy weeks. We just wanted to go through some of those initiatives that we'll be going through next week. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to a TSA representative, and they will kick this off. So thank you again for coming.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jessica Mayle, Jessica-Mayle. I'm the regional spokesperson for the Transportation Security Administration. So we are here today to give some tips for travelers. We're looking at some high volume days coming up. The highest volume days we're expecting are going to be a week from today, next Wednesday, and then a week from Sunday, the day everyone is going to be leaving. So we really want people to be prepared for that checkpoint experience. There are so many steps that travelers can take at home to get ready and make sure they don't add any unnecessary delays to their screening experience. So have some of those tips. First of all, arrive early. We're recommending 2 hours. That's 2 hours from when you step foot in the airport. If you need to return a rental car, get dropped off, park your own car, give yourself extra time for that. Next tip, start with an empty bag. You're much less likely to put an item in your bag that you should not have or don't want versus when you grab that bag from your last trip and you can't really remember what's inside of it. So start with an empty bag, make sure you're not putting in anything you don't need, and then check our website, tsa.gov. We have a tool called What Can I Bring? It gets very specific. This item is allowed in your check bag, this item is allowed in your carry-on. Do that research at home. It really prevents you from being at that point, at the checkpoint. When you're in a rush, you're trying to make your flight, and you have to make a decision. Do I want to abandon this item? Do I want to run back to my car? Nobody wants to be in that position. And we do have some examples of items that are not allowed through the checkpoint that that have been abandoned by passengers recently, and we can kind of talk through those and explain why they were not allowed. One will give a reminder about how to prepare when you're approaching the checkpoint. Have your ID ready. Your ID is the most important part. We're going to scan that ID even if we don't need your boarding pass. So have your ID ready. We do have credential authentication technology machines. We validate IDs. They also take a real-time photo of your face and compare it against the picture on your ID to make sure the person standing there is the person on the ID. If you do not want your picture taken, you can opt out of that process and we will verify your ID kind of the old-fashioned way. It doesn't add any time to your trip, but just make sure you're prepared for that, and if you want to opt out, let our officers know. And then always listen to the instructions of officers too. We have different technology on different checkpoints and at different airports. So sometimes people say, hey, I didn't have to take what do I have to do it there, etc. And it's really about the machines that are in place at that lane. I would not expect passengers to memorize the checkpoint experience. They're going to have it at every airport across the country. So listen to those instructions. It will help you get through in a quicker and more efficient. Cares. That is a program for passengers who maybe have challenges with screening or they need extra time, maybe just anxiety around traveling. You can call that in advance of your trip. Give us the time that you're leaving, and we have a special officer called a passenger support specialist who will be ready for you to assist. So we want to make this process as smooth and easy as possible for everyone. So make sure you just avail yourself of all the tools that TSA has. And again, go to our website, you can prepare, and it'll give you plenty of opportunity to be ready for those high volume days that we're looking at. But not anticipating any issues. We think we're going to be able to screen all of those extra passengers just as smoothly as we normally do, but passengers can do their part and be ready. Cool, I'll pause there and we can take questions.
How does an airport of this size and TSA work to sort of prepare for the big crowds and expect them?
Yeah, we work closely with our airline partners, our airport partners. We can project kind of down to the hour how many passengers are going to come through. So we staff appropriately. We make sure we have the team members ready for them. The other point I'll make is that sometimes at an airport with limited queue space, you might see a line that looks intimidating. We don't measure the length of the line, we measure the amount of time it takes people to get through. So I would say even if it comes in and it looks like there's a bit of a queue built up, just get in that line, be prepared, have those tiny items from your pockets out in your bag, zipped up, have that ID ready, and then that'll really help things keep moving. But our standard is 30 minutes for standard passengers, 10 minutes for pre-check passengers. We rarely exceed that, and we aren't anticipating any issues with meeting that standard in the coming days and weeks here.
Between here and Appleton, do you have to bring in additional staff from other locations, or just staff completely locally between those two locations?
Should we move any around? Do you want to take that real quick? Yeah. This is our Federal Security Director, Mark Lenvay. He can talk a little bit about the staffing adjustments.
Good morning. Mark Lenvay, Lendvay. Excuse me. So staffing, yes. We're actually pulling resources from our Milwaukee operation as well as Madison. We're going to be augmenting not only Green Bay here, but also Appleton during the course of next week. And I actually have staff from my director's office that'll be up here helping with the queuing, educating the traveling public as they're coming through and preparing for divesting, and then ensuring that the right passengers in the right queue, whether they're pre-check and or standard. Sure, great question. So Green Bay on average runs just under 2,000 passengers during our peak, say, holiday season. For the week, we're looking at 40,000 individuals. That's our inbound traffic and outbound traffic. We also have a general aviation contingent, private aircraft that'll be coming into our fixed-based operators here at the airport. We're looking at numbers probably right around the 2,500 peak day outbound. Now, as Jessica said, our modeling system gives us hourly compressions, so we know when the peaks will be hitting us. Typically, that 5 to 7 a.m. is going to be our biggest compression. That's the schedule the airlines have for flights to Detroit, Minneapolis, and Chicago. So that if you're coming in, you've got a 5:30, 6 o'clock departure. We do want to instruct you to be here at least an hour, hour and a half at most. And if you're checking bags, factor that in as well, because the queue for the ticket counter space will be backed up for those individuals that have checked baggage to check in. So all in all, 40,000 next Sunday. We think that'll be a record for Austin Straubel International Airport. Right now, it looks like the majority of the traffic will be between Green Bay, Appleton, and Milwaukee. We are not seeing a significant uptick in traffic from Milwaukee. The other thing we got to recognize is Easter's this Sunday, so we actually have kind of a second wave of travelers that'll be outbound and also inbound coming in. So with that traffic, in addition to the draft, we'll probably across the state with the 8 commercial airports, we'll probably be in a 5 to 7% increase. Sure, great question. I know here we've done that as well as Appleton, and that's pretty much it. Locations such as Cleveland was on that list. We definitely Detroit, Minneapolis. The other thing I think with the draft that we're seeing is this is going to be a driving event. When you think of the division that the Packers play in, the Bear fans, the Viking fans, the Lion fans, a lot of that traffic is going to be by car. And we're marrying that up with the lodging facility. So we're seeing lodging going all the way down to Milwaukee. And then General Mitchell Airport will be renting the cars and coming up. So I think, for the state, the economic boom is huge. We will safely and depart safely. Hopefully the weather is going to be good for us. No snow in the forecast, I hope. But overall, I think, we're prepared. I do want to, so we had the Republican National Convention last year, obviously based in Milwaukee, so we've rehearsed this. This is really our 4th big event. We've had the DNC, we had the Riders Cup, we just had the RNC, and now the draft for us. So we're going to be in the trenches and prepared for this, and as Jessica said, we're going to have our technicians on the equipment on the site. Hopefully everything stays up and running and everybody's able to get through the airport very seamlessly and onto their final destinations.
You mentioned extra staff. Are you bringing in extra equipment as well?
Well, we are not, and that's simply because we run the 4 lanes here. We're unique state-of-the-art technology for this airport size. So we have the credentialing authentication technology, we got computer tomography or CT technology, and then the advanced imaging technology. Airports typically don't have all that technology in there. And for your awareness, all of our airports here in Wisconsin actually have the identical technology. Even our Eau Claire and Rhinelander operation have what we have here, minus computer tomography.
What are some of the most common issues or delays that you guys see, and how can travelers coming in and out, how can they avoid those issues?
So probably the big one is that bottle of water that they get at the hotel, that when they go through, their carry-ons go through the x-ray, they forget it. License, we have a number of individuals that may come to an event this size, they lose their wallet, or they misplace the license, so now on their outbound trip they're having to go through additional security to make certain their identity is who the passenger name record is in our system. And then the private items. Please check the bag as you're packing. If you're traveling with a firearm, make certain you're checking that in your checked luggage and you're declaring that weapon. That weapon needs to be unloaded in a hard-sided case, lockable, then declare to the airline that that's coming through. But it's be smart. If you go to our website, we have the tips for travel. And I think individuals that are probably coming into the draft probably are traveling frequently. So our pre-check members and our trusted traveler, global entry members, will probably utilize the services that we have here. And they know the divesting routine. But water, liquids, gels, and probably the driver's license are the 4 biggest hurdles that we see in the screening process.
You mentioned the international travelers as well. How are you guys preparing for that?
So for us, anything leaving here is domestic, so there isn't any international requirements per se. So the passport check, the airline will do that if they're connecting in Detroit, Minneapolis, or O'Hare. From our standpoint, TSA, they're going to be screened just like a domestic passenger would.
You mentioned stuff in your carry-ons. I know they ask you, do you have any cheese or sausage in your...
So,
very unique. I mean, if you will, or Wisconsin, and people are going to bring their bag of cheese curds back.
Thank you for that public service announcement. We do get a lot of cheese, obviously. Cheese, in the sense of a brick, it comes up in an opaque fashion, so that mimics some of the things that we're looking for in our system, and that is a common thing that we see really across the state. Same thing with the sausage when it's coming through, and so the officers will rehearse that as you're divesting. We do encourage that be taken out of the carry-on bag, and that would eliminate additional screening on the backside.
What about spreadable cheese?
Spreadable cheese, great question. So spreadable cheese is a private item. If you can spread it, spray it, or pour it, it falls into what we call our 411 requirements. So, and I know we sell a lot of cheese here at the airport. We encourage consumers to purchase that. We just have that, when you're going through the system, be smart about that and tell us. Medical devices, let our officers know as you're coming through that you may have one on your person, for instance.
You mentioned some workers from Milwaukee will be helping out here. Do you have any idea on numbers, like dozens or hundreds or anything?
No, we're probably going to be sending anywhere from 4 to 6 officers up per day per airport. We're opening up overtime here in Green Bay as well as over at Appleton. All 4 lanes will be fully staffed, as well as, and then we'll have what we call floater officers that will be helping with announcements, questions. We may have some canines coming through. That's a common occurrence with those individuals. There's some additional screening we have to do with either the canine or the cat. So all in all, on a daily basis, we'll be augmenting 4 to 6 officers. I'll turn it over to the airport director.
Great question. Rideshare partners, we have Uber, our taxi cab operators, limo, black car services. So very easy. You exit the concourse out onto the front curb lane. Taxis, limos will be right outside on the, I'll call it the 4th lane, which is the inside outer lane. Uber, Lyft, all the ride shares will be in the same location, just a little bit further down, right outside baggage claim. We've worked with all of them to make sure that they have the inventory necessary to handle the influx of passengers, so we're confident that we'll have the cars available for that as well.
Marty, this is the end of 18 months of work for you. Maybe you can kind of, what's it like to kind of get to this stage where we're talking matter of days as opposed to months and years?
Yeah, this is great. We've been building up for this since May of 2023 when the draft was announced that it would be in Green Bay. Day one, the first phone call was to our airline partners. We've been working with our airline. Thank you for that. Specifically, what we've seen here in Green Bay was United and American immediately adding additional frequency and larger aircraft to Chicago. We saw Delta add frequency and larger aircraft to Atlanta, Minneapolis, Detroit. We also saw American add round-trip nonstops from New York City, and Delta added LAX, New York City, as well as Orlando. Those flights filled up so well that we actually heard yesterday that Delta added 2 additional flights between Minneapolis for next week. So we're seeing that those flights sell out pretty quickly. So that goes back to FSD Lenvey's comment that we'll see probably 40,000 people over the course of the week in and out of this airport, and we're ready for it.
Marty, how about the GA side of FBO? What do you expect to happen with that? Is that going to be similar peak of traffic? And how different is all of this to a regular game day?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to predict the commercial side with our airlines. We know what the flights are. So a little bit more unpredictable maybe on the general aviation side. But with that said, we know with the home Packer game, NFC playoff game against Dallas, we saw 150 large general aviation aircraft. So we're able to park those on our various ramps and aprons in front of the fixed space operators. So we've been working with both AvFlight and Jet Air to make sure that we have plans in place to park those aircraft. This is a little different. A home game, people come in, go to the game, and they leave. So this is going to be over the course of a week where we're making sure that people are parked where they can still access their aircraft, come and go as they need to. So it's taken quite a bit of coordination with not only the FBOs, but even air traffic control to make sure that we can handle the flow of traffic during the draft. Well, regular planes, as far as general aviation aircraft, we have about 50,000 landings and takeoffs every year. So do the math back into that. We'll probably see probably double the operations during each day. I would say probably 3 days leading up to the draft, the 3 days of the draft, and 3 days after the draft.
How do you see these, the TSA upgrades and this huge event? How do you see this impacting the airport's future beyond the NFL?
Well, I think the primary thing here is let's make a great first impression. The airport, for those that are flying in or flying out, this is the first and last thing they see of our community. So a lot of people coming to Green Bay, this will be their first time here. We want them to come back. Either extend their stay this time or want to come back and experience all that Northeast Wisconsin has to offer. So this is a great opportunity for the community to showcase themselves, which has been a great partnership, again, with TSA, the airlines, the rental cars, and all of our stakeholders.
Why do you think it's important that people have smooth transit?
If you have a bad experience, you remember it. That's anything in life. So efficient experience. We want to stand out a little bit as well. So as you look around when we're done today, take a look around. We've made a lot of effort in bringing Northeast Wisconsin into the airport. We want them to experience Northeast Wisconsin, all that it has to offer. So to create that great experience and make sure that nothing goes wrong, because again, that's what people remember. We want them to remember the great experience. But certainly we're available here for individual one-on-one questions if you are available. And thank you again for coming. We're looking forward to next week and look forward to seeing everyone out here. Again, thank you.